right, Mazey, I'm gonna move you up to the main stage with me. Can hold each other's hands while we do this. Thank you so much for coming. This is such a delight to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited when you guys sent me that email. So yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here.
Awesome. Well, Mazey, if you don't mind, since this is your debut, I'd love it if you took just a few minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started writing.
So I'm a dentist. Funny.
You were in a room full of people who have mixed emotions about that.
Yes, which is like, that's just, a day on the job, but,
right.
So I graduate, May 16th. So I'm almost a dentist. So getting there, but I started writing this book, when was it? January 2019. So it was my first year of school. And I was kind of having like a quarter life crisis. I was trying to figure out, like, is this actually what I want to do with my life? And I was experiencing like a lot of stress and anxiety as well. And I've always been a huge romance reader. And I always wanted to write, but I could never I could never finish a story. So I always really, really struggled with that. But during this time, I was reading more than ever, up until 4 a.m. reading novels, because the happy endings were really, really wonderful for that, hard time. And then, one day Harper and Dan, my characters, popped into my head, and they would not stop talking until I got their story down. And then it just became such an escape, the process of reading romance is such an escape, but then writing it also that way. And it was just a really cathartic and affirming experience, especially to look at anxiety disorders and stuff like that, and how different characters react to it, and how, people with anxiety handle it, and then how the world around them kind of interacts with it. So yeah. And those are the main things about the book. And then this is my cat, and she was very influential too. That's Yaya.
I was gonna say, I know that we have a cat mom in the house, so.
Oh yeah, big time. I don't know where my other one is, but my muse is right here.
Oh man, are they helpful? Do they sit on your lap when you're writing, or are they all over your desk?
They're very, they think they're helpful, but they're just, keyboard stomping, which sometimes they come up with better ideas than I do. But it's interesting. There are certain books that each cat gravitates towards when I'm working on them. So I don't know if it's an energy thing or what, or if I'm just crazy, but there's one book that I'm working on that my other cat has to be on my lap when I'm doing it. And then this one was all over me when I wrote A Brush with Love. So
wow. I love that. So with Yaya, so that's so interesting. Was she there from the moment that Dan and Harper showed up in your life?
I was trying to think about what the exact moment was. Because I wish I could pinpoint it, but I know the date was around January 21st, because I have the original Google Doc and everything, those first couple sentences. But no, I think there was a couple preceding incidents that inspired it, because I was just searching so badly to find the humor in kind of a rough situation. And so at school we have this stairwell that very much inspired the meet cute, because so many of us have fallen down it. It's just it's just awful. And so I fell down it, and then the next day my friend fell down it. And so we were both just talking about that. And then the big scene, or the initial scene where Harper and Dan are working in the lab together. If you want to know what hell on earth is it's the day in dental school where first year students learn how to take impressions. It is just the most chaos in the world. And so I was just I don't know. For some reason, I was just cracking up that entire day. This is just the most ridiculous. And then it just kind of inspired their whole initial interaction.
And it had to be so going through dental school while writing this book, it just had to be so cathartic to be able to kind of take your real life things and put it into these fictional characters.
Yeah, it was. And it was really nice to it, because it feels very separate from my experiences, right? The friend group and all of the characters were were very much like people I kind of wished I had at the time.
Okay.
So like their journey and their experiences is very like uniquely their own, but it was so nice to kind of see, and I'm not a plotter, so like I'm, you know, as shocked as anybody, like when things unravel, I'm like, what are they gonna do? I don't know. And so yeah, it was just really, really nice, and yes, cathartic to see people like navigating this world that was tricky and stressful, and like watching them do it and then be like, okay, I can do this too.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, I am just incredibly impressed with your ability to write a book while in school. Like those are you're doing two giant things, like very, very giant. I'm sure you know this. Like, I don't know. How do you balance it all?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't sleep very much. No, I think, you know, it's funny. It's like, I've always given so much of myself to like school and education and stuff like that, and really just like thrown myself into grades and all that. And writing this book, when I was writing it, I never had the intention or even like the belief that it could be something that other people read, right? So like I started it and I completed it with like the sole purpose of just doing it for enjoyment.
And when did that turn for you? When did you decide to like pursue it as you were ready to publish it?
Well, I don't know. I had a friend, the book is dedicated to her. And so when I finished it, I was like, I really, really like this. And you know, so I like shared it with her, and I was so nervous, and she really liked it. And then, you know, we talked, and she's a lit major, and she was like very involved in, you know, the publishing world. Like she's a poet. So, you know, she kind of knew some of the ins and outs of that process. And like, we talked a bunch, and then, you know, I edited the book, and I was like, okay, I think I'm actually going to try this, because I was also like, okay, I have nothing to lose, right? Like I have this thing that I love and I created just because, like, from pure enjoyment, like I don't have anything to lose trying to share it. And I think I just got I'm very fortunate that the story connected with, you know, my agent and my editor, and like so many people had to say yes for all of this to happen. And I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. Because as much as I've always wanted to be a writer, I never thought I had what it took. And so I was always very scared to take that leap. But yeah, I don't know. I just, good things happen, I guess, sometimes.
That's true. Well, and I love on your website, you mentioned that you have a mission to destigmatize mental health and to destigmatize mental health as well as neurodiverse people. Can you talk a little bit about that, and then how you infuse that into your book?
Yeah, so I'm autistic and I have ADHD, and I also always struggled with anxiety and depression. And you know, it's not funny, but it's kind of like, I remember my first anxiety attack. I was like in first grade, and it was like a reading comprehension exam, right? And it's like, I just remember thinking like my little body was like, you know, shaking. I was like, oh my God, am I dying? You know, so it's something that has been a part of me for so long throughout my entire life. And I was very lucky that like my parents, you know, took me to psychiatrists and therapists. And so, you know, medication was like a normal thing, and discussing mental health was very normal. And so I just thought that was normal. And so then, like, you know, growing up, I was slowly realized, like, after a lot of social faux pas, that like, oh, a lot of people don't talk about it, or a lot of people are like, you know, feel shame because they don't have enough, you know, serotonin, and like, you know, some people have to buy it at the store. And so, yeah, it's just something that I've always wanted to personally be vocal about, because I don't want anybody like that I'm close to feel like they can't talk about it. So, and then, you know, with the books, I actually kind of tried not to give Harper an anxiety disorder, but I got about 3 chapters and I was like, oh, no.
Harper's like, no, Mazey, I'm freaking out. Okay.
Yes, I mean, literally, she's like, I need you to stop denying my reality. And I was like, okay, well, it is
stop
what it
denying
is.
my feelings, Mazey.
Yeah, truly. I was like, okay, we'll go with, let's ride, let's go. Yeah, but no, it was so, it felt very freeing to write about that. And especially to look at it from a perspective of like when you internalize, you know, those sensations of shame or just like, you know, it's a scary thing to not be in control of your feelings or anxiety all the time. And so I wanted to make it accessible to people that haven't suffered from it, and make it, you know, kind of like a visceral description of what it's like to go through it. So, you know, people that haven't dealt with it are able to connect and relate to those in their life that have, and then, you know, have those that do deal with anxiety, feel seen in that. And then, you know, from there, so I've written 4 books since, and so the next one comes out in September, and it's that one right there, Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake, and that features an ADHD heroine. And that was like so fun to write and just like, you know, really embrace, you know, a somewhat chaotic mind. And like, you know, there's a lot of frustrations that come with having ADHD, but there's like so much beauty and creativity to it too. So I just feel very lucky that I get to share these stories and talk about it.
Yeah, that is really cool. And especially like, I feel very excited about your ADHD character because as a person who suffers from that myself, like it is, and learning about it later in life is eye-opening, and especially from books. And I think that that's something that fiction does so well for readers because they get to see themselves in books sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And I think it's important too, because, you know, so much of like ADHD or autism and what we understand about, you know, the diagnoses or like how they manifest in people is from like a historically very male centric view. Right. And so it's nice and like, I don't know, just kind of empowering to like look at female characters that experience these things that have so often been diagnosed by like male criteria and everything. So yeah, I'm just excited.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the love story between Dan and Harper and like and them, what they bring that out in each other that is positive, and why they're such a great fit for each other.
Yeah, so I'm such a sucker for like beta heroes and cinnamon rolls. Like, you know, I like an alpha hero in a romance novel done well is amazing. But, you know, sometimes I'm just like, I just really need like the mushy gushy, like
a nice guy.
Yeah, the nice guys. I love the nice guys. Yeah, and so I just thought that they're like, I was so annoyed with them sometimes because like, you know, I just wanted to make them kiss and they were taking forever to get to that point. But, you know, their story is a lot about learning to open yourself up to being loved by others. You know, Harper kind of like, she doesn't like embrace like the idea of self-care or self-love that much. And so her journey is very much like learning to love herself and accept herself. And then I think what's interesting with Dan is he's a very like loving and expressive person. But in a lot of ways, like he kind of battles with this sensation of like not being worthy of receiving it. So he kind of sees what he can give to others, but not necessarily what he can receive. And so they both work on on themselves a lot, which I think is just really important in any relationship. And then, yeah, I don't know. He's just like, Dan is kind of a golden retriever, like ray of sunshine, and Harper's a little bit grumpy and very serious. And I think that they are opposites in a lot of ways, but also super similar. So yeah.
I love that. All right. Well, before we transition to our next segment, which is our fresh facts portion, I'd love for you to tell our viewers what you're working on next. If you can give us a little hint.
There's a lot. So over these 2 years, I have 5 books coming out, which is like wild and so fun. Lizzie Blake's Best Mistake, the yellow cover there, comes out September 6th. And it's in the same universe. Lizzie is one of Harper's best friends. I sometimes can't believe they let me get away with that book. It has like an underground erotic baking scheme. It's like, yeah, the consequences of a 2-night stand. Like it was just very goofy, very fun. Sunshine and like a very starchy Australian hero. So yeah, it was just pure joy from start to finish to write. And then rounding out like that series or that world is Indira's book, who is also one of their friends, and that comes out April 4th of 2023, and that's called The Plus One. And you know, that one's tropey goodness too. It has older brother's best friend, and there's only one tent, and like hate to love, enemies to lovers vibes and stuff, and fake dating. So you know, that was also really fun, and that one's very emotional in certain ways that like the other two aren't, because those two characters are very damaged. Yeah, but so yeah, that rounds out the Brush with Love world. And A Brush with Love is the only one with dentists. Don't worry. I was told no more dentists.
I don't know, man. You can make dentists sexy. I feel like this is totally doable.
I tried so hard. Yeah, I mean, you know, the setup's there. It's just fingers in the mouth in like a very not sexy way. And so like, you know, I get the phobia behind it, because it's like, it's very intimate. It's weird. Yeah. And then I have a YA coming out next summer, called Tilly in Technicolor. And that was like a new transition for me to write in the YA genre, but that has another ADHD heroine and an autistic hero, and through like a series of meat disaster after meat disaster and like the worst possible international flight you could imagine, they end up becoming enemies, and then they have to spend the summer together traveling around Europe. And so yeah, that one was really great too. And then I have a project that I can't talk too much on, but it's a sapphic enemies to lovers rival Christmas tree farm story coming out next Christmas or like holiday season. So
oh my gosh, Mazey, you got a lot in the pipe for us. I love it. All right, well, all of this conversation and talk of tropes is a perfect transition for my next question, which is, I want to know what your favorite trope to read is.
Oh my god. Okay, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and say Only One Bed. I think it delivers every time, you know, when they cuddle up close, or like it leads to like shenanigans. I love it so much. I think it's amazing.
Awesome. Okay. What is your favorite trope to write?
Oh, probably Only One Bed. No. I'm sorry. Only One Shower. That one is very, very fun, because like that can lead to like just a lot of like almost slapstick type humor, where it's like, you know, somebody's barging in on somebody else naked, and it's just, you know, it's so good.
I love it. That's so cute. It's so cute. Okay, cool. What is one genre that you never want to read again?
Gosh, you know, I try not to be like anti-genre. But I'm gonna like, can I shift it to like anti-theme or theme?
Sure.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I can't stand when like violence against women is the entire plot point. I'm so sick of it. I think it's so overdone, and I think like women characters can have so much more to offer a story than, you know, just being like agents of a hero. You know.
Absolutely love that. All right, what is your favorite time of day to write?
Oh, whenever words come to me, yeah, I have a tendency to write like every spare minute that I have. So literally anytime that I'm getting an idea, because otherwise it feels like pushing a Buick through a wood chipper. Do
you have like journals all over the place, or do you like write on your phone, or like just whatever you can write on?
I write on my phone. So I draft in Google Docs. But I have so many notes on my phone, and like a lot of times I'll wake up in the middle of the night with an idea. And so I'll like write something on my phone, and then I'll like go back and read it the next day. I'm like, oh my God, like, what is that? It's like, you know, like cereal toots. And I'm like, what are you talking? Like, what? Like, I don't know, like none of it makes sense, and it's just like a totally messy folder. But yeah. And then if I get really stuck, that's when I go like pen to paper and try to kind of map stuff out for what I'm looking for. But yeah, mainly it's on my phone in the notes app.
I love it. All right. What is your favorite time of day to read?
Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love like a quiet morning alone, like that first cup of coffee, a little bit of sunshine or rain. And yeah, getting like the words in when the house is still really quiet.
I love it. All right. Who was your first book boyfriend or girlfriend?
Oh my first ever. Okay, I think like the one that has stuck with me the longest, so I'll go ahead and say it's the first, Sebastian St. Vincent, from Devil in Winter by Lisa Kleypas. Like, literally, like, he could break me in half like a glow stick and I'd take it. Like, I cannot with that hero. And he is just, you know, Evie brings him to his knees. He becomes such a simp, and it's like very much the perfect reformed rake trope and like character arc and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with him. He's my book husband.
Love it.
And yeah, final answer.
It was perfect. It was very definitive. It was great. Okay, so I know, you know, dentist lady, also writer lady. Do you have time for hobbies? So if you do not, I understand, but have you picked up any new hobby or practice recently?
You know, this sounds funny, like it sounds silly, but I'm like super into walking. Like, okay. I love my boyfriend and we just like walk all over Philadelphia, and like that's how we spend our weekends and stuff. And yeah, I just really love it. And then I do run more out of like, I kind of like force myself to run for like stress relief and everything. I can't say that I enjoy it. But you know, whatever. Whatever we got. Like,
I feel better afterwards, but here we are.
And then, cross stitching. I love cross stitching. It's like a very relaxing hobby.
Absolutely. It's super chill. So for Philly, when you guys go walk around, have you guys discovered anything new or exciting recently?
I mean, I feel like there's something new to discover every time we go out. I love this city so much. And like, it's cool there's so many different pockets of neighborhoods and like different styles of architecture and stuff. Like, I just get such like happy brain every time because there's always something new to see. And like, yeah, it's just very walkable. They have a lot of murals and those are constantly changing too. So we like to be on like the hunt for that and look out for those.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. All right. What is your favorite writing fuel?
Oh, okay. Well, coffee, obviously. And then, you know, when you're like really stuck in your head, just like a little glass of wine really helps the words like flow. When you need to stop doubting yourself and just get stuff on paper, like just a little bit of liquid courage. Absolutely.
Okay. So what is one luxury item that you can't live without?
Oh, luxury item. I don't know. I don't know why the first thing I thought of was like high quality toilet paper.
I mean, that is a very good answer.
I know, because I just recently like took the plunge. I've been like buying the cheapest from Walmart for years because I'm like a baller on a budget right now. And I have a lot of student loans, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with that 3-ply. And now there's no going back. I'm spoiled.
Yep. Exactly. You got to treat yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And I feel like at some point that's just basic self-care.
Yes, I know. It really is. I'm like, okay, I've suffered long enough. Like, it's time.
Yeah. I am elevating to the 3-ply Charmin. May not be the red Charmin or may not be the blue Charmin, but it's the red.
Yes. And there's always room to improve with that. So
exactly. I'm still aiming for that Angel Soft one.
Yes. Oh, you and me both. Yeah.
How do you celebrate a new release?
Oh my gosh. I just get really excited. My mom came into town for the book release, and she and I, like, we went and got brunch. We went and signed books. We had champagne. Yeah, and it was just like, I try to, I feel so excited that I get to do this as a job, that I'm trying to like stop and absorb every moment, like, you know, how just lucky I am to have this opportunity. So yeah, it's just about like embracing the moment and stuff like that.
I love that. I love when you can still celebrate. Hope for you is, you know, 10 years from now when you publish 100 books that you can still celebrate them then.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. All right. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, it's okay to take breaks. Yeah, I think I pushed myself really hard for a really long time, because it's easier to like, I don't know, like kind of push yourself and like expect more instead of like just being quiet with your thoughts for a while. And sitting in stillness is like one of those challenging things. So I would tell myself that it's okay to rest.
Absolutely. That's great advice. We should all take that still. Okay. What are 3 items that you would want to take with you or have with you if you were sent back in time?
Both of my cats and probably my toilet paper, to be honest. No,
perfect.
Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. That's fine.
That's so good. I love it. All right. With whom would you want to be stuck in an elevator?
Oh, my boyfriend, because I would flip out and he would be like, it's gonna be okay. And I'm like, it's not gonna be okay. Well, okay, if we're gonna do like celebrities or something like that, Jonathan Bailey, but like, you know, real life, like my boyfriend, because he'll just figure out a way to make me laugh and like handle the situation.
He'll keep you calm, and that's really what you need when you're stuck in an elevator.
Yeah. And I believe that he, like, if push came to shove, like, I have confidence he could lift, you know, pull open the doors, which I'm sure actually isn't true, but I still like to believe it because it's like, you know, I just have faith in him.
That's so cool. So out of A Brush with Love, who would you want to be friends with?
All of them. Two. Oh my God, she's so snarky, and very, very sarcastic, and like, yeah, some of the things that like she came up with, you know, because she felt very like different than I am, and so I was like, damn, I wish I could like say that to people, or like, you know, be that much of a boss ass bitch in real life.
How do your characters come to you? I mean, I know that you said Dan and Harper just like showed up and would not stop talking, but do they all talk to you, or do they kind of just like, do you see scenes with them sometimes?
They are, and all of the characters pop into my head, and like some take a little longer to unravel. But I haven't had to, you know, I feel it hasn't felt like conjuring a character from thin air at any point. Like a lot of times it might feel like I'm getting to know them a bit slower than others. But yeah, I don't know. They really do. I can hear their voices, and like, my writing process is very much like scene based. So I don't write in order. And like I said, I don't plot either. So it's very chaotic on all fronts. But I just kind of follow whatever they're doing, or like what feels good or they're enjoying in that moment. And I just follow that path as long as I can. And then when I need to, I stitch scenes back together, kind of like a quilt. But yeah, I feel very lucky that they pop into my head. So I'm like scared for the day that they go.
No, hopefully they just keep getting louder.
Yes. Seems that's the path.
I love it. So you joined us for the name game earlier, and we were asking everybody what they're reading, watching, and listening to. I'd love to hear if you have any recommendations or things you want to share, or things you want us to avoid, what you're reading, watching, and listening to.
Oh my gosh, there's so many great books coming out this year. I just got an ARC for Soulmates. It's a YA novel by Susan Lee. I'm really, really excited for that. I am picking up this week, so I have to turn in a book on Friday, and then after that I'm gonna like read for the rest of the weekend, but How to Fake It in Hollywood by Ava Wilder, and I think that releases early May, so I'm really excited about that one. And then Chloe Lisa, her book Two Wrongs Make a Right is her first traditionally published book, and that's being released in November, but I got to read a really early copy, and I just actually did a reread of it because it's just like a book hug. I love it so much. So those are what I'm reading right now. And then watching, I just finished Euphoria, which I was like scared. I was so scared to watch.
My favorite.
It's so good, dude. I was like, this is one of the best shows I've ever seen. And just the way it's shot, it's so artsy. Like and Zendaya, like I love her so much.
I know. She's so fantastic on that show.
It's sick how good she is. Like I cannot. And then I watched The Dropout on Hulu.
Also great.
It was so good too. Like, talk about like a brain spiral. Like I just could go down a rabbit hole of like, you know, YouTube videos with that.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And then I started watching Sex Education on Netflix, which is good. And it's funny and kind of like a weird dark comedy. So I'm enjoying it. And then I'm not listening to any audiobooks right now or podcasts really, but you know, that could change.
Awesome. All right. And so before I turn this over for our readers to ask some follow-up questions, first of all, one, how do you feel about going to the dentist? And then after that, where can readers find out more about you and stay in touch with you?
Well, okay, so I've never had a cavity, so like I went into dentistry and I was like, I loved my dentist. Like I never had a bad experience. Actually, that's not true. I did have a bad experience. I got a bunch of teeth pulled out and I was not numb when I was little. So that was actually very traumatic, but I've moved on. But yeah, I was like talking to somebody and they're like, you know, you can't even relate to like what your patient's going through and stuff. And I was like, that's actually a very fair point. So I'm working on giving myself a cavity just so I can I'm kidding. I probably
get some lollipops to start,
yeah, exactly.
start munching.
Yeah, but no, I like the dentist, and I like obviously being around dentists. A lot of them are my friends.
Yeah.
And then I can be found MazeyEddings.com. And let's see what else. Oh, my Instagram handle, which is probably where I'm most active, is Mazey.Eddings, I think. And then my Twitter bio is at FoxyGrandpa27. And that's also my TikTok handle. And then, oh yeah, I have a newsletter, which I, you know, forget to send out quite often, but when I do, there's, you know, just lots of info dumping in there.
Love it. Mazey, thank you so much. This was such a wonderful conversation, and I'm so excited to let our readers have some follow-up questions for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.